Merhaba arkadaşlar, YouTube kanalımıza hoş geldiniz. Ben Ece.
Ben Erkan.
Bugünkü videomuzda size Workaway'da bizi ağırlayan ev sahiplerimizle ufak bir röportaj paylaşmak istiyoruz. Hello!
Hello.
Hello.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm
Start.
Chuck.
I'm Kathy.
How are you guys?
Great.
Have you done interviews with woofers before?
Never before.
Okay, how
Up
long
to
have
you
you been
guys.
doing this? Workaway and woof.com.
Woofer.
Well, the woofing started in 1998, I believe it was. Yeah, 98. And then slowly, then we discovered Workaway and HelpX maybe 10,
Wow.
15 years ago. At some point, anyway, the other groups got added in.
Mm-hmm.
So then we started getting people from different groups, but it's basically always the same thing.
Yeah.
The work exchange for a room and board.
Yeah.
People help us out around the farm.
Okay, so you guys have farm. Let's go from there. What do you guys do? What kind of help do you expect from people that you host?
Okay, well, you want to answer that one?
No,
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say traditionally, like we had this greenhouse business. So from, say, January to end of June, maybe into July, we would need help in the greenhouses.
Mm-hmm.
But now we don't have that anymore. But we're still like hobby gardeners. We garden for our own food, and also we have a lot of flower beds and other areas that we maintain. and then Chuck always has a major project going on. He loves making new heating systems
Every year.
almost every year, unfortunately.
I
so.
see.
Yeah.
Helping.
So there's always help like that. And then, of course, if the woman can cook, for example, Ege is so good, and
Yeah.
lots of other woofers have been as well.
Yeah.
Although you're kind of more developed, more
traditional
cooking
approach.
skills are more developed, I think, than a lot of them. But at any rate, so help in the kitchen, house, cleaning, things like that.
Would you say this is generally what people expect, hosts in general?
I think
Complicated
so.
question.
I think most hosts would, probably help outside around the gardens and then help inside the house, cooking, cleaning, etc. Depending on the skills of the woofers too.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if someone like me
Yeah,
has good skills.
someone
Oh, yeah.
like I want to say his name wrong now. I want to say Ergon, but
It's okay.
It's,
Erkan, Edgar.
he's got so many great skills for carpentry and all that. It's
Thank
very
you.
rare that we get anyone who can do carpentry. I think we had a couple, but
Mm-hmm.
and not many over all those years. Only maybe
well, we had one guy,
one or two others. Yeah,
professional carpenter.
the guy from Vermont
Oh, professional carpenter.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
From where?
From Vermont.
was from Vermont.
Oh, yeah. His wife's family was coming to visit them, and he didn't like his wife's family, so he wanted to get out of the
He didn't
house for
escape.
a weekend or something like that. So he came here to get out of the house. So he
Yeah.
Well, it must have been more like a week or two.
maybe a week.
It
He
was,
about
a
week,
good
yeah.
while because he redid the veranda roof
Mm.
and he made the basement door. He made a new door on the basement.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but it only took him a couple of days to do the roof. And the door I think was only a day.
It was pretty quick.
Yeah. He was a nice guy. He made bread too.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, he made bread and he used to sell it outside his. Well, he lived on a place I'm pretty sure close to what this was, a farm.
Mm-hmm.
His wife's family's farm. And anyway, he used to make bread every day, like baguettes. And then what they would do, well, the way it works in Vermont, it's very laid back. So he would just put them out in a little stand out by the road, and people would come, they'd pick up the bread and leave the money,
wow.
or maybe take their own change, that's how.
That is so
They
cool.
trust each
Yeah,
other.
Vermont is very, the people are
Very down home like
Yeah,
that.
not-
It's,
not
a lot of small communities.
not
people know each
paranoid.
other, trust each other, and all that. Yeah.
no locks on the doors.
Wow. I mean, you guys don't.
I mean, how about you guys? Do you have locks on your doors in
Yes.
every
Of
house?
course.
Oh yeah,
We
yeah.
even in the
Sometimes
country.
Sometimes double.
And double.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On
we
the
had a
window.
break-in in our house in Istanbul.
Oh.
Yes.
Way out, but a big city, you can imagine, right? There's going to be problems. But I think here in Quebec, we've not. Well, I
I
shouldn't
mean,
say.
you don't. I can tell you that.
I think
Yeah.
Canada is probably considered one of the
But-
safest countries in the world.
Yeah.
I think I saw that somewhere.
But I think you still, you know, you have to be careful too. Like one time we had people come and cut our wood there,
Oh.
and we were going to share it on a certain percentage, but they
Yeah.
were taking all the good wood.
Without your permission.
No, they had our permission, but like we didn't count, you know, how much they're taking for themselves, what kind of wood. But in the end, they took a lot, and that was
There's a lower class. There's a class divide, I guess, in every society, you know.
Yeah.
we haven't encountered too many bad characters.
So Chuck, you moved from US, from New York to Canada.
Yeah.
How that is hard for you to live in Canada, to build a new life, make it
No,
fun,
it wasn't hard for me at all.
and
Very simple.
but you know the tradition is so different.
Yeah, well,
It's,
anyway,
here
I
is
was
the
I was
French.
at a point in my life where I just wanted, you know, to get away from basically society. And, you know, I wanted to live more close to nature in the country. Basically, I wanted to live in the woods by myself. But so this is pretty well the closest this is the closest I could get to it right here on the end of a dead end road on a big farm. Well, pretty to me it was a big farm.
It is a big farm.
Plus, I mean, when I came, you know, this land was very cheap.
Mhm.
You know, so like it was just wonderful. But the thing is, it was just, well, it was a meant to be because I think I explained to you like I met these people on the road. They said they were starting a commune. I drove them to where they were living in Montreal, and then the next day I drove them out to their commune that they were just getting going, and then I knew
Which
that
was here on this farm.
yeah, which was here on this farm. But the thing is, you know, I never was part of that commune, but at the same time I was friends with them. I would come and visit them every once in a while.
Yeah.
But then another year passed. I was a mechanic, so I fixed my Jeep that had broken down in a city that was about 60 miles from here. And while I was fixing my Jeep, I got to know the young people from the town, and I was friends with them. And then they were making a commune.
Yeah.
And so they needed a vehicle to get back and forth from their commune. So I was part of the commune for one day. I got sick of it after one day. And they needed that vehicle, so I gave them my Jeep.
Oh.
So that was everything I had in the whole world. I gave it
Yeah.
to them.
Nice.
And then I started to hitchhike. I said to myself, well, I'm not finding what I'm looking for here in Canada. I'll go back to the States.
Yeah.
This was early in the spring, you know, maybe about May or something, April. Must have been April. And then I hitchhiked from that town to a town that was about 10 miles from the Canadian-U.S. border.
You went from Granby, right?
I went from Granby to Quantico.
Granby to Cork.
I hitchhiked. I had no more car. So anyway, when I was hitchhiking, I couldn't get out of Quantico. I was there 3 hours waiting to get to a ride to the border. So then all of a sudden I looked over and I saw some of these people that were on that commune on the streets. They were musicians and they had just done a gig.
Original hippies.
So yeah, they were original hippies. But I was too anyway. So we were all of the same kinship. Anyway, so they said, oh, come on over and have a cup of coffee with us. Come over to the diner and we'll have a cup of coffee. And so I said, yeah, okay. We went over and we had a cup of coffee and they told me they were selling their farm.
Wow.
And it was at the on a dead-end road. They wanted $18,000 for it.
Wow.
165 acres. It had a house. It had 2 barns. So I said, okay, I'll buy it. And that's how I bought my farm. But I mean, you know, that's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. It's a good story.
Mm.
How did you two meet? I think we never asked that question.
Oh, well, I think maybe I told you already, maybe just come. But yeah, that's it. Well, I was going to the university, Bishop's
yeah.
University nearby, and we had a friend in common. And I told that guy one day that my dream was to live on a farm. And he said, "Oh, well, my friend Chuck, he has a farm on Spring Road. Maybe one day I'll introduce you." So sure enough, one day he introduced us, and that's how it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine that. You tell someone, I want to live on a farm. I know a farm.
I know a farmer.
With a single guy.
Yeah, that was it. Exactly. Yeah.
And she married me. I always say she married me for my farm.
Maybe. Oh yeah, how did you learn about Workaway?
Waffles.
Oh, well, that's it. We had no idea that this existed. And then one day we got this, I guess it was a phone call. These two young girls were coming to visit their uncle in Lennoxville, uncle and aunt in Lennoxville. And they had asked the uncle and aunt, well, do you know of anyone with a farm nearby where we could stay and work in the day and come back here at night and sleep with you guys at night and go there to work in the day? So these people knew us because of our greenhouse business, and they said, oh, well, maybe the Nevilles might take you. So these two girls came, and I don't know if we ever fed them a meal. I don't remember feeding them. I think they might have just come, and maybe they just came for the afternoon half day or something and went back. And then they told us, well, there's this actual thing called WOOF, and you can become members, and then you would be able to host people continually like this. So then that's when we joined.
Wolf,
and
you know
That's
what Wolf
what-
is?
Yeah. I think it's only in Canada though.
No,
right?
no, it's
No, it's
universal.
worldwide.
It's in the States,
Yeah.
but each country has its own little
Oh, cool.
division of it.
Mm.
Like now here, we belong to. That was the first one that we belong to. WOOF means willing workers on organic farms.
Oh.
So it's only for farming.
Originally
basically.
it meant
Yeah.
that, but then they changed it to worldwide opportunities on organic farms. I think that's the
Oh.
official.
Oh,
Now
okay.
it's more that one. I don't know why. Maybe the workers weren't so willing in the end. I don't know
Oh.
why they changed it.
So people, let's say we want to start up a farm at our hometown, but we don't know how to organic farming usually works. We could go on there, talk to people, come here, learn the business while we stay and help them as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It could be
But
something
not
like that.
usually. People don't come to find out. Well, they do want to know about farming, and that's one of the reasons. And they know the advantages of organic farming. But the thing is, people usually come because for them it's a cheap way of traveling.
Yeah, for Workaway, I can definitely say that.
Well, it's not only
But even
Workaway.
for WOOF, it's
All
most
those- all
often
those
just
organizations.
people traveling.
Oh yeah.
But they have an interest in organic farms a
Yeah.
little bit. Some do, some don't.
Yeah, I guess.
A lot of them, it's just pure.
See, well, that one's oriented towards farming, whereas Workaway, you could be, I guess, be anything. You don't.
Yeah.
You could be say a retired couple, or just a couple that has a garden, needs some help, or just wants to, interested to meet people from other countries. The big advantage of it is more cultural than
Yeah.
than the help, but actually the help is pretty important, especially to people like us who don't have a lot of money, and and we don't make a lot of money, and so we really sort of need the help.
Our quality of life improved quite a
Benefits
bit once we
both
started
parties.
having woofers, because we had people to help with all kinds of outdoor little projects, and well, mostly the gardens, but all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And it's interesting for us because we've had a lot of very interesting characters,
Oh, yeah.
including our very first, well, other than the two girls who came that one summer. After that, our first woofer was this 56-year-old professional psychic from the UK. She was quite a character.
And a healer. She healed people. She tried to heal our cat.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
I
See,
forgot
you get
about
to
that.
meet these
But she was very
people.
nice. Really a sweet person.
Yeah, she was so nice.
Yeah, well, that's the whole deal, you know. Basically, if the people that are coming are, you know, people that are open to other people, you know.
Yes.
You're not gonna
That's
go out
very
and
true.
woof if you don't like people, for instance, you know,
That's
or you're
true.
not a friendly type person, you
That's
know.
true.
So
Yeah.
It's actually very true.
it's more the the friendships that you would develop,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah. You still talk to a lot of the people that you hosted, yeah?
A
Or keep
number
in
of
touch,
them,
let's
yeah.
say?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, well, mostly through Facebook, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah.
Some people you get very close to, you know. Like
Yeah.
if you have a lot of kinship, you know, you have a lot of things in common.
So I imagine like language would be difficult sometimes because it's all over the world.
We've had a few
I
cases of people
Wow,
who didn't
the
speak
people that
English well,
come.
but pretty rare. Usually people can get by.
People that
I
come
mean-
have to be able to speak English pretty well,
I
or
know
French.
some people like to use these types of apps also to improve their languages as well.
Oh yeah,
There's
somewhat.
also the language buddy option, for
Yeah,
example, in the
yeah,
app, because people often
yeah,
do.
yeah.
And some people want their woofers or workawayers to be able to teach them, for example, some
Yeah.
things. Sometimes I see those types of ads as well.
Yeah, sure. Sometimes we can learn from them too, especially in the kitchen.
Tell us something that's unforgettable with somebody that you hosted.
I don't know. Something unforgettable.
How about the Japanese lady?
Japanese lady?
The girl in the thunderstorm.
Oh,
No. I don't know about that one.
That's pretty funny.
Well, we could tell you, but you may not want to include it in the in the actual. You
We
might
are
want
not
to.
gonna give
might
name.
wanna
It
cut
doesn't
it
matter.
out.
I don't think it's...
Well, no, what happened was there was one night, it had been very, very hot. It was the middle of the summer. This young Japanese girl was here, and at that time the woofers slept in that room and we were upstairs.
oh,
So anyway, this it had been very hot, so the windows were pretty new and they opened up well in those days. We could open them right out like this, right? Nowadays, some we can, but some we can't. Anyway, so the windows of the house were all wide open. And anyway, maybe it was 3 a.m. and then in the middle of the night, this big storm with all this wind came up, and we woke up, and it was terrible. And we said right away, "Oh my God, we got to close the house windows." So we closed all the ones upstairs. We came running down, but the thing is that he sleeps in the nude, and I sleep with I used to, now have a longer thing, but I sleep with only a t-shirt. So we just came running down,
oh.
and we were closing the windows in the living room, and the Japanese woofer came out of her room and said, "What is going on?" But then there was a thing of lightning. The electricity had gone out. There was no lights. There was a lightning, and then
It was almost like
she saw us. She
Almost
didn't wait for the answer. She just went back into her room, closed the door.
she was more afraid of me than the lightning.
So that's why I don't know. That's the one he thought of. I don't know. There's other ones, I guess. What else happened funny or entertaining? I don't know. There's other
I
ones.
imagine a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How many woofers you get without language? Now, how much woofers cannot speak English or French?
Well, we've
Not
really
that
only
many.
had 3. The 2 Korean guys, and then Anna, who wanted to learn French but barely.
No, it doesn't work out that well. I mean, if they can't speak English or French,
They have to
They-
have at least a basic knowledge,
Yeah.
and then they can work from there. Because if their knowledge level is near 0, then
then it becomes, you know, like the communication just doesn't happen, and you know they feel very, you know, there's too much of a divide. If they can't understand, you know, you can't. We're not, you know, we can't be, you know, here to teach language, or
Yeah,
French
that's-
or English.
yeah.
You know, we're here to live our lives and share it with other people, you know. But if you can't understand us,
It's difficult.
it doesn't work.
I mean, when you think about the wolfing, I'd imagine people like the farm stay, but maybe from Workaway, people may not choose
Well,
because
yeah,
of the
they
farmer.
choose.
Because some people with Workaway also want to be like close to the city, travel,
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
know.
yeah. But the thing is, everybody can see your profile. So,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
somebody wants to learn, somebody has an affinity in some way for farming, well, they're going to see that
Tend
you have
to,
an
oh,
affinity,
yeah.
they're going to come to you. They're not going to
That's
go to
true.
you if they don't care about farming.
That's also
Yeah,
true,
the ones who choose our place.
But we've had a lot of
They're
like
interested
chartered
in it.
accountants, people that worked in offices. There was one guy, Grant, remember Grant?
Yep.
He was like an office worker all his life. He came here and he was really never had lived on a farm at all, but he really liked it, eh?
Yeah.
But he said to me, he said, "Oh, it's really expensive, he says, I really like this whole idea of woofing, but he says it's expensive getting around on the bus. The bus is so expensive." So I said, "Well, why don't you hitchhike?" So he said, "Well, what's that mean?" I said, "Well,
Yeah, never
you
thought
make a
of
little
it.
sign, say where you want to go, put it up, and then people come pick you up and take you there." So then the proof is that 2 years later we had a woofer, and they said they had just seen Grant on another farm in Ontario,
Yeah.
and he was still going.
Oh,
2
wow.
years later. So there we go. I have quite a few
And we never
lately.
actually counted the countries, but we've had it from a lot of different countries. Right.
We had periods when we had Koreans a lot, periods when we had Japanese a lot, French a lot.
Belgium, we've
Yeah.
had the UK.
But other than that, it's been a smattering.
Other than that, it's 1 year when there. We've had
Germany,
this summer we had Brazil, Colombia.
Wow.
but that was the
We've
first
had,
time
of
we
course,
ever had.
Canadians and Americans all along.
Not that many Americans.
Few.
Few.
Few here and there. Yeah.
Now plus Turkey.
Oh,
Yeah, Turkey is the first time,
No,
even though our son-in-law is from Turkey.
We had one from China.
Can you tell us again the story, the Korean guy?
Oh
His
my.
paper.
That's a funny.
Oh yeah, the Korean guy.
But you have to understand that there was a woman here that stayed with us. She was the longest staying woofer before.
She held the record for a long time. She had stayed with us for 4 months. That was the record stay. Now we've had people who've stayed longer, but at that time she had the record.
Wow.
Yeah, and she didn't really speak that much English, eh? But she could understand, and she had been woofing on other farms in Canada.
Yeah, she was very dynamic, very friendly, and so it started off with her. She was here for a while. She liked it a lot here. She loved it here, and then anyway, she went back to Korea, and then a number of years later, maybe 5, maybe 4 or
Quite a
5,
few
6
Quite a
years
few.
later, Chuck got an email from her. I guess Facebook still didn't exist back then, and she said, "Oh, I have a young friend who wants to come to your farm so he could learn English. And he speaks a bit of English, but he wants to learn and blah blah blah." So we didn't think much of it. So that was the first one that came because of her, and then he.
Well, tell her how it turned out with them.
Yeah, how it turned out with him was that after he was here for maybe a week or 2, he came to us and said, "Well, maybe I should really go back to Korea because I think he was lonely. He couldn't speak. Finally, that's the thing, was he couldn't speak almost no English at all. If he knew yes and no, that was about it. You had to make a drawing or show him everything. Anyway,
Body language.
yeah. So then, anyway, but then he said he wanted to go back to Korea. He wasn't happy. And Chuck said, "Well, maybe, you came all this way. Give yourself a chance. Maybe stay a little longer and see how it goes." So he did stay a little longer, but finally he ended up going back before he'd been here for very long.
And he wasn't happy.
So then after that, maybe a year later or something, the same girl wrote to us again saying that she had another person who wanted to come. So then we told her about the last guy, how it hadn't really gone that well, and we said, does this guy really, can he speak like a basic English? Because if he can't, we don't want him to come. "Oh, yeah, he's fine. He can speak some English." So anyway, the guy was supposed to arrive a certain day, and anyway, it was a huge snowstorm, middle of February or something, cold, windy day, big storm, and I hear this knock on the door. So I went to the door, and there was this guy dressed up in a suit, and he had nothing but a little briefcase in his hand. So I thought it was a salesman for a company or something at first, and I realized, oh my God, it's the woofer. And then I saw out parked out on the road, there was a taxi. He had taken a taxi all the way from Montreal to come here, because I suppose when he got off the plane, the only thing he could say was taxi Lennoxville, or something like that. So he hadn't taken the bus or anything like that. Most all of them would take the bus. Anyway, so that was him. And then while he was here, that
Cost him
afternoon,
$300.
for his taxi.
$300.
Wow.
And then that afternoon, well, we didn't think anything was, special. He went to the greenhouse, worked with the greenhouse workers. They had a hard time. They were trying to show him how to do stuff. He couldn't understand anything. And then anyway, after that, but he was always like on his cell phone talking to someone in Korean. And he had a friend in BC, so apparently he was talking to this friend in BC. And we didn't think much of it. Anyway, after that, the next morning, he was sleeping in that room on the top of a bunk bed, top layer of a bunk bed. And he came out to me. I was in the kitchen here. He came out, and he had a little piece of paper. It was written, close, comma, stuffy. So those are not frequently used words in English. Usually you would just say, oh, it was too hot in the room. But close means that the air was like, stifling and stuffy, Look at, oh, it was too hot in the room. Oh, shoot. Okay, well,
Because he
tonight
was sleeping on the upper bunk.
we'll lower the temperature or whatever. Like, we'll try to make it more comfortable, whatever. Anyway, then he went back in the room. Then a little later, he came out with another little piece of paper. It was written, I want to go Korea. So I said, oh, dear. Oh, this is different. Chuck was upstairs. I said, Chuck, you better come down here. Chuck comes down. I said, he wants to go back to Korea. So right away, Chuck was like, yes, that's exactly what you should do. You should go right back to Korea right now. Drive him to the bus stop in Sherbrooke.
He wanted to go back by taxi.
He would, want to go by taxi again. So he would take a taxi. He would take the bus from, I explained to, I'll drive you to the bus stop, take the bus, go to Montreal. You take another bus to the airport. But for some reason, he had to go to Toronto. He couldn't go straight to BC and then catch a flight to Korea. But he was going to go from Montreal, flight to Toronto, then to his friend in BC, and then Korea. But we didn't know why he had to go to Toronto. But then anyway, on the way down to the bus, he was trying to tell me something. At first I couldn't understand, and I realized there was two words that were a bit strange. He was saying lost luggage. All of a sudden it dawned on me, because they say L for R and R for L, it was lost luggage. So he had lost his luggage on the way here. He had to go to Toronto.
That's why he only had a briefcase.
He had to go to Toronto to pick up his luggage, and then he was getting his flight too.
I think that's about it. Do you guys have anything to say? Anything else to add that you want to tell people?
If you want to have a good time, come to our farm.
Oh, you'll see next bus is to your door. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Guys, we are working so hard. Chuck is always punish us. Work slave. No, I'm joking. Yeah. Incredible.
Hey, Jay,
He's chained
we
up in
gotta-
the kitchen.
We make her cook morning, night, and
They love us actually. They don't want to leave, and they want to chain us here.
That's
Yeah.
I'm gonna go make bread now.
right.
Okay.
Okay, thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for talking.
It was
Thank you for telling.
very much.
Thank you.
Our
for
pleasure.
hearing us.